Welcome, goddesses, sleeping goddesses. This is the very first episode for A Diary of a Sleeping Goddess. It literally came through to me today to set this up, to start recording this, because my work here is to awaken first myself, the goddess that's within me, the wisdom that's within me, and to awaken that within women too. And to go through the BS, the bullshit, the belief systems, the conditioning, the patterning, the perimenopause, the menopause, all of these aspects that us women are going through to really understand who we truly are, to know the power that we are, and to realize that we are just simply trying to survive in a system that is designed to keep women small. It feeds off women. It doesn't do men any good either. But this perspective will be coming from a woman and what it is to be living in a patriarchal system, to realize that it is no longer serving and that you're here to reclaim back your power, to embody your power, and to remember that that already lies within you. It's remembering the universe is already within. This is the journey of embodiment, of somatic embodiment. My journey as a therapist that I've been doing for 17 years, of how I have gone through the journey of the divine feminine and lots of that link into Sardinia for me, how I have literally connected both the dark and the light of the feminine, and how we can get easily lost in that journey, whether we want to call it spirituality or not, and to really how we can get lost in fear, how we can get lost in protection as we are protecting our bodies that we've had to do to survive. But we are here now. We are here now to thrive, to live in joy. And I appreciate that may feel like really quite far away as we are living through a world that looks on the outside exceptionally scary, separated, fearful. But that is coming up because of the light that is coming up. The darkness that we are seeing is because the lightness is growing. We have to be able to really recognize that for that to exist, so does the light. And therefore, we must discern where we put our energy and our attention to. And this will be a sharing of my journey. I'll bring in other women as well, because this is really important. Because I see the deepest, darkest wound is where women turned against women. And that is probably the most biggest act of betrayal that we will have in our systems, this separation, where I have seen and through the connection to my body, through guided meditation, through channeling, I have seen where we have become separated from heart of source, our bodies, our wisdom, our divinity, our earth, and also the masculine. And I'll speak from my experience because of trauma, because of experience, lived experience. I have pushed the masculine away. I have pushed the masculine, the men in life away, but also my masculine energy within me. We have the feminine and the masculine energy within us, both male and female. I have used my masculine energy to just to constantly do, to be in the doing and that perpetual action, and to not be able to find peace in rest, in stillness, because the guilt that sits with that, we're being industrialized as souls, and women to create, they must be in their stillness, they must be in the grace. And a system that has us push through our bleeds, to have to keep going, whereas what we really need to ultimately do is sit and rest and listen to the wisdom that was within our bleed, to move through the shame, the sin, the guilt that attaches to that, to our blood, to the disgrace that we have to keep it clean and keep it hidden. This is a power. There is great wisdom that sits within our bleed, and the whole system has stopped women from remembering their power. We have the 666. It's the divine goddess number. The Friday the 13th, when we had 13 month cycles. Friday the 13th, we would have had every month, and that would have been very key because if women are regulated in their cycle, that's a very powerful time within that cycle, that 28 days of creation. Okay. And so there is so many layers. You have the Mary Magdalene. A lot of my work is really coming through to me through my body, not through learnt and reading, through my body, the wisdom of the Rose lineage, the Mary Magdalene of Goddess Isis and Kuan Yin and Green Tara and Kali. I have a lot of this goddess energy working through me, with me, and around me for myself and for people that I work with. And I've recorded something called Daughters of the Golden Rose. So this will come through quite a thread into this work because the essence of this and what I have been shown is that women hold the creation of life within our wombs, and it is only accessible through pure unconditional love through our hearts. Much of this has been attempted to be taken through rape, through abuse, suppression, but it could never be accessed through fear. It was always going to be accessible through love, through unconditional conscious love. So the creatrix, the essence of what can create life, the no thing, the womb of all creates life. It's creating life that is into the blueprint that is true life. They're not manipulated. And women, we access that through our hearts. And Daughters of the Golden Rose is that process, is to remember the connection to ourselves through our hearts, to our bodies that we have constantly probably judged, criticized, even not just ourselves, other women have judged and criticized, compared. Society, again, always looks at the body, the woman, that is what her worth is her body and her youth. Yet the wisdom of women as they are coming into this next cycle of their life, what we want to call menopause, is actually a really powerful time. But society has either called that and linked it to the old witch in the woods, the old hag, and or even just not talked about it at all. Okay, so a lot of us as mothers, as we're moving through our mother and our children are growing up, there's a whole load of grief there as our purpose is shifting and changing. But it's changing to move into the wiser woman. And often we'll overmother because we don't think there's any more purpose left as our children are growing up, but there isn't. There's this emotional intelligence, there's this connection, this the psychic ability to connect to the whole collective and to be able to discern what is truth and what is not. We are incredible beings as women, and we are here to remember. And I see the reason why we have society and humanity as it is because it's forgotten the connection to the divine feminine. And the system has got women to disconnect from themselves to their power through cycles, through calendars, through sin, through shaming, through abuse and suppression. It's also disconnected us from our earth because we would have lived to the land and to the seasons and to the cycles, and then have religion has put on ceremonies on top of that to say this is you access this rather than accessing through earth. And men have been told that they cannot access this emotional wisdom because it's not manly. And actually, your only purpose is to be this hardened man that goes to war and disconnect from this intelligence and this femininity. So men are lost because they aren't connected to their feminine power and connected to the woman as well. There's so many layers that are going on, and it comes from the disconnection to the divine feminine. And for me, I will call her Sophia a lot in this. Sophia is Greek for wisdom. She is the mother of all God. Okay. She is the mother of creation. And she was the light when I really had to ask myself, what is my truth? Truly, what is my truth? Because I had an entity attached to me and I was like, who am I? The old oracles of Delphi, Yeshua, know thyself. It's like, who am I? How can I connect to what is true? And it was through conscious, present moment with my heart, breathing with the waters of Sardinia, the light, and just breathing and connecting in with the intention to connect into pure consciousness. My heart opened, peace literally filled my entire being, and I dropped down into my womb where this white light was, and it proclaimed, I am Sophia. I'd never known about this before. I had literally just started the whole rose lineage that had been shown to me with the Venus and the sacred rose and Mary Magdalene. And all of a sudden, I'm now expanded into what is Sophia, which is the likes of Mary Magdalene, Goddess Isis, Hathor, Green Tara, Kuan Yin, Kali, White Buffalo, the dragons, Yeshua, Mother Mary, even Joan of Arc. There's so many priestesses and goddesses that have lived this lineage, the Knights of Templar. All of this has come forward to me through meditation, through channeling and connecting into my body, into my bones, into my blood, into my womb, into my heart. And this is the wisdom that has been shown. And the idea and the concept behind the golden rose is because we have forgotten the power of alchemy. Women have forgotten that power. We remember the absorbing of everything, becoming the martyr and taking all the shit that's in and around us, through sex, through being in the environment, through being that empath. We're literally just absorbing it all. But because we have forgotten to alchemize, so we are heavily laden with this shame, with this guilt, with this fear, all this hate, this anger. Our bodies will be carrying so much that isn't even ours. And this process is about discernment of that, allowing and thanking the wisdom of our body, the light that's created us, that is within us, which is Sophia, to have the discernment of what is pure and what is not, what is conditioned patterning and belief systems through living in the matrix and the separation of, and to remember what is actually our truth, which is love, joy, and peace. And through the power of alchemy, through the power of self-love, through that rage, that conscious rage that comes up and says, I am worthy of so much fucking more. You hit menopause and you've got mood swings. It's because that is that voice of you going, I fucking deserve better. Sod this shit. Sod being the peacekeeper, sacrificing my inner peace to keep my peace. Sod it all, which is brilliant. Absolutely bloody brilliant because it's getting you to find your voice. It's getting you to stop playing the victim and the clapped out Cinderella. And it's calling you to understand and start to embody your worth. But we can't stay in that either. We have to be able to move from that fire to also the grace, which is where Kuan Yin comes in for me a lot. She is the water element. She is the compassion. She is what has acknowledged the fire, the Kali, the rage, the Isis, the whole aspect of it. And the alchemy of it. And then there's that grace, that water that carries that light, that is the wisdom, that is forgiveness. And it isn't about forgiveness to let it happen again. It's a lived experience of truth in our bodies that goes, I accept the unacceptable, not to be accepted again. And that I'll say that again, acceptance of the unacceptable, not to be accepted again. This is what we need to get through. This is the gold. This is the insight. This is the emotional intelligence. This is the lived experience of suffering that we have experienced and not staying in it, moving through it, finding our power and alchemizing it. It's like the diamond light. The diamond is created from carbon. It stays pure as carbon. It doesn't change any molecular structure, but it's through pressure and intense heat that gradually allows that diamond to rise to the surface in its gorgeous, beautiful form that it is in its purity. This is that process. The pressure, the trauma, the pain, this generational, what we've absorbed and experienced, it sits in our mitochondria in our body. I am getting very excited. I appreciate, and not all of this will be understood right now, but this is the power that we are, that we're carrying this generational trauma that lays entwined with our DNA. Our DNA hasn't changed. It just, as lots of it is switched off. And the epigenetics of how we express ourselves, the trauma sits in there. It's like a bit like, I see it daftly, shall I say, like a flute, that the old little buttons have got stuck. It's like these on-off genes have got stuck, and we need to lubricate them. We need to get them working again. We need to recognize where the on-off switch is and start to find our harmony once more. And we shifting, our DNA is shifting. The earth is going through massive seismic shifts, and huge amounts of energy is coming through. The truth is rising and it is coming up, and we are here to alchemize to the carbon that is our DNA, that's in our bones. It's through this intense pressure, but holding it consciously, that we enable it to crystallize. We are going to be switching on our DNA when we become in a unity, a collective unity of love. This is what the journey that we're doing, but we're doing it for ourselves first, and always ourselves first. We cannot be the martyr and do it for somebody else because we don't think we're worthy enough. So we'll do it for ourselves so they can benefit. It won't work that way. The pattern breaker is you choosing you, always, because you realize your worth. As soon as you realize your worth, that is like a atomic shifting going through the whole collective, through your whole body. That's the pattern breaker. And this podcast is going to be about the shite that we're going to have to go through, the shadows that we go through, the grief, the joy, the bliss, the pleasure, the belief systems. I mean, there's so much, and I have been doing this for some time. And I hopefully find myself on the most aligned path. And as much as I thought when I had that entity attached to me, oh, I really know what I'm doing, I can look back at that now and go, I needed that. There's no such thing as necessarily a wrong path if you know what you know now. Who's to say it was wrong in the first place? And so we have to really hold space for ourselves with no judgment, to have a curious observation. And when we're not living in love, joy, and peace, know that we're not really living in our truth. And that when we can hold that moment and that resistance and of that awareness of these lower vibrations, we can become the alchemist of this. This is our power. And I liken it to the viruses. When we have a virus, our T cells and our B cells, our innate immune system will hold a memory of that in our gut. So when we come across it again, it knows exactly what to do. It's already interacting with it. It doesn't get affected. And this is the same as I see as an emotional intelligence. This is our goal. This is the learning. This is the processing that we are having to go through to find that inner wisdom, to rise up out of victim energy, to rise up into abundance, to in our joy, in our bliss and our pleasure. And women doing that and doing that together hold circle for others to do that, to bring back the masculine, the true pure masculine, and the men that are out there that are doing this work too, and equally may feel lost and not entirely sure where to go. We're calling back to the feminine. And this podcast will be my sharings. There may be tears. There were certainly tears this morning. Shitload of tears this morning. And I'd like to see that I will come through just as me in this, sometimes really raw. Other times I might have processed it and understood it a bit more for us. It might just be my reflections, and I won't necessarily have the answer at that time. Um, because this morning I've had a whole load of grief moving through from my own personal experiences that I'm going through. And, realizing there's much that I've held in my system of the pushing away of the masculine, held in like that scorned feminine in my liver actually. And it's just it has kept the masculine at bay because it hasn't trusted it, couldn't fully surrender. And I know that's affected my libido, it's affected my relationships, and it's not something I want to live through. It's like a massive never heart awakening, which kind of breaks these patterns of resistance and restriction that blocks my love, blocks my my joy, my flow. And it's calling that out. And then when you do that, and then all of a sudden, then there's a whole load of grief because you've realized of that separation. And then there's also that be really mindful that then the judgment comes in. And so then you have to do like the forgiveness prayer to help myself move through that. And otherwise you just stay in that circle of shame and guilt and just doing yoga, crying, and then realizing I needed to get in to do some joy and just dance and then laughter and then actually I will share through self-pleasure. I felt like I need because your womb and your yoni hold so much. They hold so much. And our menstrual health is what everything that we've absorbed. It's this black hole that absorbs everything. But because we've forgotten the alchemy, it's just very heavy and laden there, which will affect our periods and our bleeds and our hormones and fertility and everything else, especially as it goes generation to generation, comes earlier and earlier. And so I just felt like I needed to connect, to release, because it felt quite heavy, coming out of my bleed. And there was so much grief yet again, like absolute wailing grief. Like you imagine you've seen it at the Wailing Wall where people are just just constantly just like a child would just wail. There was no holding back. And but also because of the gentle sort of gentle bliss there or pleasure like joy there, it kind of held like a golden spiral to stop from falling completely into that pain. Um, and with that, I realized that the separation from the divine feminine and the divine masculine. I had Yeshua, like I felt presence of Yeshua, I felt presence of Mary Magdalene, and in just like a massive cave of earth. And it was this, oh my, I've been so separated. And that grief just poured through. But when you can hold your heart open to that grief, so does the joy come through as well. Because joy and grief seem to be mixed together, especially around the pancreas. They sort of sit there. And when you open your heart to it, you allow both to move through you. Often the grief of loss, through the heart, we realize the love that was within that is never truly lost. And we're just reconnecting to it. So I just want, yeah, so I will be sharing these many things like this, really. And I just hope that this inspires others to do the work, to be able to do the shadow work, to be able to know and trust your body deeper. Everything's about being in your body. This is the truth. With that, this is about why on earth have we been given a body if we're not going to use it? So we need to start to love you and move through the shame, the sin, the guilt, and all these low vibrations, which aren't our truth, which religion has really managed to kind of suppress that. And which is actually where it's the seat of our power, right there. So thank you for those that are on this journey. And by all means, reach out. For the women there, I have a Telegram container called Daughters of the Golden Rose. It's free to join. So this is inspiring you to go, at least, I don't know where this is taking me, but this resonates within me. I can feel it in my body. Join that Telegram group. Go to theinfinityhealthhub.com where you've got Daughters of the Golden Rose. You've got Love to Heal on there. So if this is really just the beginning of your journey, just to start to know that your body has this wisdom, that you know this, that course, the listen, observe, visualize, empower. It's about the whole ethos of connecting into the wisdom that is your body, to start to learn and to listen, to recognize the wisdom that it sits through, how it tries to communicate through pain and disease. And through visualization, you start to shift, you start to create the patterns to know that you are not your thoughts. If you're not love, joy, and peace, it's not your truth. And so, how you can keep creating through higher vibrational energy and emotions, that you start to create the plasticity, the pathways that you do want, so you can start to break these patterns that you no longer want to stay in anymore. And so that is your beginning of your journey. That's the fundamental aspect that goes through all my work about how to listen and to connect to self, to your body, through observation, through curiosity, through visualization. You make those shifts and changes. And so if you're at the beginning steps of that, it's Love to Heal. And for the women, which I'll be talking to quite a lot through this podcasts, through these episodes, will be Daughters of the Garden Rose, where you are beginning to truly realize that there's something more to you. Even if you've got to the edge, that breaking point where you're like, I have had enough. And what else is there for me? What can I do? And that might be where it meets you, where you've hit that point. But there's still a point of hope in you, even though you might not realize it, that has brought you here to this point, to go, there's something else. And the universe has a beautiful way of working. Don't always realize it at the time. Most of the time it's after the event that you realize it. But hopefully that will resonate to you. And exciting times. Let's see where we go. And I know I'm going for a huge journey right now, and I'm having to learn to just stay in the present and not get too ahead of myself and worried about the future and things. I've got to literally be as present as I can in my heart and keep my heart open as much as I can, even though those patterns will want to make you shrink and keep quiet and hold back. I know I need to move through those now. I'm being really challenged to do that. So lots of love. And thank you for being part of this journey with me. All right, take care.